Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're doing a quick story time while we work because I need to get you caught up on the chaos that's been happening here for the past 2 weeks. A family, not just one, not two, a whole family of raccoons officially took over the backyard, and today is my first day back out in the garden. Between the cleanup and a massive overdue harvest, we've got our hands full today, so grab a drink, get comfy, and let's dive in. But before we jump into the mess, if you're new here, hi guys, my name is Marsha the Blackthumbgardener, and I live in Ontario, Canada, Zone 5B, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'd love for you to subscribe, and if you're returning, welcome back, and thank you so much for supporting my channel. Now let's get started. So while I pull these potatoes, let's go back to day one. Now, raccoons in the garden are nothing new for me. They wander through every now and then, but I have never experienced anything as destructive as what went down these past 2 weeks. Now, it all started on that super smoky morning when we had those wildfire warnings here in Ontario. I know some of our friends in the US have also experienced the Ontario wildfire smoke, and I came outside early to harvest my garlic, totally minding my own business, not even realizing at the time that we were dealing with wildfire smoke. Now, I finished up harvesting my garlic and I walked inside, turned around to close the door, and right there was a full-grown raccoon standing right at my back door looking at me. Guys, I cannot tell you how much that freaked me out. It was broad daylight, and in my head, raccoons are strictly night owls, so seeing one staring me down in the morning had my heart in my throat. And little did I know, that was just the warm-up. Things were about to get much worse. Now, by the way, if you do follow me on Instagram, you actually saw all of this unfold in real time on my stories. So if you ever want live, unfiltered updates on the drama happening in my garden or any garden harvest as it happens, make sure you're following me over there as well. Now, once I saw that raccoon in broad daylight, I knew something wasn't right. And sure enough, shortly after, I started seeing the babies crawling out from under my deck. And over the next 2 weeks, they completely took over my garden. So my first instinct was to call a wildlife removal company. The first one I saw online gave me a quote of $2,000 when they came out, and also advised that there are strict rules around trapping mothers with their young so that they can continue feeding. So the process was going to be a bit more complicated. Honestly, guys, at this point, I was so distraught and terrified to even step foot in my own garden that I was on the verge of just paying the money. But $2,000 was just too much to pay for this service. I just want to pause here and admire these potatoes we just harvested. Guys, I had such a hard time with potatoes last year. I should mention that both of these containers were in the path of the raccoons, but it looks like they didn't touch it at all, thank goodness. I'm rambling. Let's get back to the story while we clean up these garlic bulbs. So another week went by while I scrambled to find another company to get another quote. And during that week, those cute little babies grew into full-on teenagers with claws, teeth, and zero respect for personal space. Guys, adult raccoons are one thing, but teenage raccoons are the absolute worst. The time of day didn't even matter to them. They were out at 2 p.m. like they owned the place, lounging on my rocking chairs, chewing on my kneeling pads, sitting on my table, just everywhere. On multiple occasions, they'd even walk right up to my glass door and just stare at me. They had zero fear. And at night, it got even worse. They started using my pea trellis like a climbing wall, scaling it and hopping onto the neighbor's yard, disrupting them, tearing apart garbage bags and compost bins every single week. It was getting completely ridiculous. And then finally, after another night of them out on the deck and breaking my terracotta pot with my rosemary plant in it, I finally snapped. I had enough. I went online again, picked a random wildlife removal company, looked at their Google reviews. I think they had like 24, 25 reviews, but honestly, it was a gamble and I didn't even care anymore. I just needed them gone. This is a full circle moment for me right now because this is the very garlic I harvested the day the raccoons invaded my garden. I bought seed garlic last fall from Veseys, and if you want to see how I planted it, I do have a video I'll link down below, and I'm really happy with the result. The variety name is Music and it's a hardneck variety. Moving on to my onions, we're going to be harvesting the Walla Walla onions that we started from seed earlier this season. And I also have some garlic in this bed that we also need to harvest that's way overdue. So let's do that as I continue the story. So as I mentioned before, I picked another wildlife company, and it turns out that this one is run by just two guys. One is a police officer and the other is, I believe, a fire ranger. And they both do this as a side gig off duty. They showed up the day after I called them. They assessed the situation. They set up 3 traps and also gave me a list of things to grab from the hardware store to block off the gaps under my deck. And that's been the issue this entire time. When my husband and the kids built the deck years back, they did mesh off certain parts, but the raccoons have been able to get into certain parts of the deck. So over the years, there have been raccoons, other things that have lived under the deck, but it hasn't been a problem before. So now we definitely have to close up all the gaps in the deck. So they were very helpful with providing that list. And what was crazy was that a neighbor was driving by that lived on another street nearby and stopped to ask if they caught raccoons when they saw the traps. They were removing it from their truck. And he had one in his attic and needed to get it out because it was scratching the roof. And we all thought that maybe that's where the male raccoon went. And on that note, did you know, I did not know this, but did you know that male raccoons basically go around impregnating the females and then leave the females to protect and feed the kids? He literally disappears and moves on to the next raccoon. Crazy, right? Okay, so here is my onion harvest for today. I still have more in the garden, but the tops have not flopped over yet. Okay, let's go grab the garlic now that we've completed the onions. So there isn't a lot of garlic to harvest from this bed. I mentioned in one of my other videos that half of the bulbs rotted. So I ended up planting squash, cucumbers, and pumpkins in the spring. I had 2 beds of garlic that I planted last fall. The first one was planted in late September, and this one here was planted in late October or early November sometime. But here is my mini garlic harvest that I got from my second bed. And now we're moving on to my first big carrot harvest of the season while I continue the story. Now I do have some video footage from when the traps were first set up, but I chose not to share any clips, and I did not take any photos or recordings of the raccoons while they were inside them. I really wanted to be sensitive to the entire situation, and at the end of the day, she was just a mother trying to protect and raise her babies, and filming them while being trapped just felt very insensitive. My main goal here was just to get them relocated safely and humanely. Now, sidestepping the story again, just to share my first big carrot harvest of the season, this variety is called Volcano. So the very first day the traps were set, nothing actually happened. I let the guys know the next morning, and they said it could take up to a few days for the raccoons to come out. Guys, these raccoons are very, very intelligent. I think they knew something was up that first night, and that's why they stayed under the deck. But the second night, the raccoons came out and were caught in the traps. And first thing in the morning, I texted the guys again, and within 15 minutes, they arrived at my house. They loaded them all up and released the entire family safely together deep into the forest. Now, I could have sworn I saw 3 young raccoons early on, not 2. So just to be safe, they set 2 more traps for another 5 days. And guys, During those 5 days, we had a massive heat wave, we had rain on and off, and those traps, in case you didn't know, were baited with tuna. Lots of tuna cans. And I cannot begin to tell you how bad my backyard smelled. It was brutal, and I felt so bad for my neighbors because it just permeated throughout the entire area. But once those 5 days were up and we confirmed there were no raccoons left, I immediately sealed up every single opening under my deck, and the total cost in the end was just $300. That was it. Honestly, I think they undercharge for the service that they provide, but I was not complaining. Sorry to sidetrack again, but this variety is one of my favorites from last year called Red Sun. I still have an onion here that we need to harvest in the raised bed, so let's grab that before we wash these carrots. So while I was outside, I was also listening to some music and really enjoying myself, and sometimes doing a little dance as well. Just vibing in the backyard overall because it feels really nice being back in the garden. And here's my full carrot harvest. I'm gonna wash them again inside, but this is a reminder that it's time to sow carrots again for a fall harvest. Now let's go get some beans and finish off the story. So as soon as the raccoons were picked up, that very afternoon, I was out in my backyard with a giant trash bag, throwing things away, scrubbing down my deck, and washing every single cushion with Pine Sol and Dawn dish soap. Now, because raccoons carry a lot of diseases, I didn't want to take any chances, but in the end, I got super lucky that they didn't go into my raised beds to mess with some of my main crops. The only thing they did try to touch was they reached up into my green stalk for some of my strawberries. So I just pulled the entire plant to be safe. And I think I had about 3 or 4 pockets full of mini nut strawberries that we started from seed together. But now I am officially back once everything is clean. I'm cleaning up my raised beds now, scrubbing away the chaos, and taking my garden back. Now this bush bean variety I've been picking is called Goliath and has been very productive for me this season. So I'm starting my cleanup over by my back raised bed. This is where we set up the bamboo trellis in the spring for my peas. It's also what the raccoons use to climb up and down my fence. And just the thought of that has me wanting to pull this entire thing out. I'm also removing my Tithonias. We started these from seed during the March Mayhem series, and the flowers are absolutely gorgeous. They're so beautiful, but the plant overall is not doing well. We also have some lettuce here we direct sowed in the spring that has already gone to seed. So I want to rip everything out and get everything prepped for fall. Now that everything is ripped out, I want to top up these beds with some more potting mix. I'm going to use the soil we put back in those black bins earlier on from our potato harvest. Then I'm going to add some compost to these beds as well and top up some of the other beds around the garden. Now I have already started my fall garden indoors and will probably start planting things out in the next week or so. So stick around if you're interested in following along with my fall garden journey. Now, if you want to see what I did last year for my fall garden, I do have an autumn garden playlist on my channel showing everything I did end to end end last season. And in those videos, I also provide the dates of when I started seeds, when I planted them, and also when I harvested. Guys, this space looks so much better. And these past few weeks have hands down been the worst experience of my life, but we survived it and it feels so good to be back out here in the garden. Now I have one more harvest before we call it a day, and I didn't mention before, but this is day 2 of my garden cleanup, and because I haven't been out here enough, there were so many things to harvest, so let's head to our pepper beds next. I have my bowl ready, so we're ready to harvest, and I'm starting with my hot pepper bed, and it looks like we have some early jalapenos ready, and also this paprika pepper looks like it's ready to pick as well. Earlier this season, we planted out this entire bed and went through all of the pepper varieties that I'm growing this season. I have 2 raised beds full of peppers. This one has all of the hot peppers, and I have another bed full of sweet peppers. This is my jalapeno harvest. Now time to head over to the other raised bed. Now my sweet peppers have not changed color yet. I don't know about you. Let me know in the comments if your peppers and tomatoes have changed color. Now I have quite a few bell pepper varieties and also a candy cane striped one that I'm really excited about, but everything still looks pretty green except these banana peppers. Now I've had such a hard time growing them from seed before, but it looks like they're doing well this season. I feel like last year was my tomato season and this year it's my pepper season. Every season something does well and something doesn't, but that's the way gardening goes. I'm only going to pick a few peppers today and then leave the rest to grow. And since we have some cooler weather, the last thing that we're going to do today is fertilize these beds. Now, I am not kidding when I say I really have not been out here these past 2 weeks. I'm even noticing that some of my plum tomatoes have blossom end rot because I just haven't been out here to consistently water. Now I am using fish fertilizer today for my veggies, and I'm just going to go around to each bed to water at the base. And I should mention that I did water my beds before I added fertilizer, so I did run my irrigation beforehand. And I feel like this time of the season, the plants that are still in the garden, like my tomatoes, my peppers, need a bit of a boost to make it throughout the season. And finally, because the garden smells like fish again, I'm just cleaning the deck off and watering some of the seedlings I have out here. And that's it, guys, my explanation as to why I have been absent for a bit. But now that I'm back in the garden, I'm looking forward to making much more videos and sharing my garden with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.